Wait.
Yeah.
The guy who worked here just came and told me we can't do this here.
Oh.
He said we have to go.
Oh, because I guess now they've heard what we're discussing.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, the employee in there, as you noticed, first he came next to us to listen what we were discussing. Then he asked us out because he's a migrant himself. As I was explaining before, we've become worse than second-class citizens in our own countries. Who's the racist now?
Almost half of Swedes think racism will increase in the country. Far-right defections could help soften Swedish nationalists' image. Dozens arrested during neo-Nazi rally in Sweden. Sweden mulls are using hate crime laws to counter neo-Nazis.
How would you answer if someone said, well, I think based on what you said, you're racist?
It's just ridiculous. So, I mean, I won't even comment on it.
Is it maybe the fact that you're afraid of change?
We ask ourselves, are we going crazy? Are we not ready for changing or something? But I mean, it's just look around.
I think that Sweden, which is a country that has tried everything for the last decades, now must face the truth. It doesn't work. We have to have a repatriation policy.
They'll say it's inhumane, or they would say your views are potentially racist. How do you answer to that?
Yeah, but I mean, if I got a penny out of every time I was called a racist, I would be a millionaire. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm a racist. It's just a sign of a politically correct society that as soon as anyone criticizes immigration policy, they are called racist. But I don't care anymore because no one cares about the race word anymore in Sweden. It's been used all over, and now even the established parties admit that they have overused this term. And I mean, if you look at the migrants that come to Sweden, they have come to Sweden because it's a country that has given them a lot of benefits. They wanted to come here because of our welfare and because of the fact that they don't have to adopt to society here.
Since the peak of the refugee crisis, Sweden has introduced stricter border controls and adopted more restrictive policies when it comes to asylum seekers.
In Gothenburg, we have now from Sweden 300 jihadists that went to Syria and Iraq, to Islamic State.
And now they're coming back to Sweden. Of course, there's going to be a problem because there are hundreds of people, and many of them from this city. And these are people who've been trained to kill and to have fun with it.
I blame the Swedish government and the Swedish system, which is like, the Swedish police is toothless.
I don't understand it, that those people who should be our leaders look after us, and those people who should protect us, they are not protecting us.
Our borders are basically wide open for contraband, for smuggling narcotics and guns, and also organized criminals. We should not fool ourselves. We cannot be naive about this, to not attract more gangsters, rapists, and that are tearing down this city.
If we could see consequences for those who commit crimes, for instance, send them back. Rape someone, out. If you lie about your age, out. Then we would, I don't think we would protest anymore.
Fuses together information on immigrant background of criminals.
The total cost for this entire group of immigrants is exceeding our defense budget. It's a disaster, really.
Surge in rape cases puts focus on crime ahead of Swedish election.
Rapes on boys has become a phenomenon thanks to the immigration from Afghanistan.
So I started calling my friends and I said, let's do something now. We'll take back our streets.
Elevated risk of Islamist terror as jihadis operate freely in Sweden.
We kind of have a state within the state. They colonize the area. Sweden will like disappear bit by bit. Bit by bit.
You wanna get shot or something? Get the f*** out of here, man! Get out of here, man!
Go now!
Okay, stop.
Okay, go.
It's changed dramatically, and it is not the Sweden I remember and I came to.
Impose it on us, it becomes a problem. I mean, we're losing our culture. When I was young, I used to play in the streets. I can't let my son do that nowadays.
In 2016, Swedish police outlined 55 zones which even they have trouble operating in. Now that figure has increased to 61. They describe them as areas marred by crime, social unrest, and insecurity. Ambulances and firefighters often get backup cars when they go there. Swedes say they experience intimidation and feel like outcasts when they find themselves in such neighborhoods.
We're now at the Central Station, and we're going on the blue line. It's quite an infamous line because it leads to some of the world's worst ghettos of Europe. So we're going this direction and then to Rinkeby, which is internationally infamous. You will see a gradual decrease of Swedish people on the metro, and when we finish at Rinkeby, we will probably be the only white people. They don't want to work. Most of these people, they live on generous benefits from the Swedish state. And why on earth would you want to do a 9-to-5 work in Sweden, and if you get even more money when you live on the benefit? This station has also been the center of Stockholm when it comes to the heroin traffic from youth immigrants. Came from primarily Morocco and Afghanistan to deal heroin. So this is where a lot of the heroin traffic originated, flowing heroin into other parts of Stockholm. And the police actually had to clean this area out of youth immigrants that were living in the metro tunnels, several hundred of them.
This is the exact place where a TV crew from Australia was attacked while filming a report about the area. This is what happened.
Go! Don't
be unkind.
You can't film. No, don't do it.
So there's been a huge debate in Sweden the last months about the increased number of shootings that you have in these kind of areas, not only in Stockholm, but in Gothenburg and Malmö and all over. And there's been an explosion in the rate of shootings.
Where do they find the weapons?
Whether you find the weapons, they come from, I mean, you don't have any border control in Sweden. Anyone can just drive in from the south of Sweden, from Europe to the south of Sweden and then up to Stockholm.
And someone will tell you, how do you know that it's not Swedish people who are
Well, you see any
shooting?
Swedish people here.
There are so many Somalians living here that locals call this area Little Mogadishu. And one person who knows this place very well is Mona Walters. She was born in Somalia and fled to Sweden as a refugee in 1994. She converted to Christianity and has made it her mission to expose what goes on behind closed doors here.
I was talking about my experience and what I encountered in the suburbs and in the mosque, what is happening. There were some women who complained about their husband marrying in secret with other women. And when they complain, the imam say, no, you should not complain because Allah allows, Allah means God, Allah allows him to have 4 wives if he have 2 other sisters. And that is okay because we need to produce money, children, we need to 3 times more than the infidel in order to be majority. I went with the Swedish television, SVT. One day when they finally follow me there to Rinkeby and really saw what was happening, 1 minute we walked and they stopped me. And they come right, attacking an old man, all of them young people. Oh, killer, you whore, calling me. And they say, it's not Sweden anymore here. Because that is what I try to tell these people. When they have their own area, that area belongs to Islam. That area belongs to them. They colonize the area. It's not part of Sweden. They put my address, my name in a website and say, kill her, behead her, she's infidel.
We returned to Rinkeby on our own to try and talk to the locals. Drugs are being used and sold blatantly on the square, and you can smell it before you even walk out of the metro. That's why we had to be careful and lower the cameras so as not to provoke anyone.
Not careful, you know.
Yeah?
Don't ask anybody here, especially teenagers.
Teenagers. Okay, but older people, it's okay.
The big guys, you can.
The big guys, it's okay. Can you tell us a little bit about this area? What is it like to live here?
It's up.
Why?
Because there's a lot of drugs and violence.
So why do you live here?
I'm born and raised here. It's not a problem for me.
It's not, so if you're local here, it's not a problem.
No.
But so do you think anything will happen to us if we continue asking questions?
No, but don't film randomly.
What's happening here, man?
I'm Phil, they're filming me.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Why are you? Get the out of here, man. No!
Okay, all right, relax.
You're laughing, man. You wanna get shot or something? Get the out of here, man. Get out of here, man. Go now. Go now, go now.
Okay, stop. Okay, stop.
Okay, go.
Okay, we go. Okay,
Can I take your camera or something? Get the out of here, man.
The Muslim Brotherhood, the Islamists, they have a power. They've been given power by the politicians. Sweden is a country of social democrats. So the social democrats have a special relationship with the Islamists. We've been put under Sharia in Sweden. These suburbs, the imams are the one who's controlling that area. And if you stand against these imams or your family, they will be excommunicate you. The problem is that we kind of have a state within the state.
But one thing's for sure, walking through a neighborhood like Rinkeby does feel intimidating, which is certainly not what you might expect in a country like Sweden.
Their mission? To terrorize you.
We're commanded to terrorize the disbelievers. And this is a religion, like I said.
Commanded to terrorize the disbelievers?
The Quran says very clearly in the Arabic language, Torhibuna. This means terrorize them. It's a command from Allah.
So you're commanded
to terrorize them.
Terrorize
doesn't mean
anybody.
You define terrorism as going and killing an innocent civilian. That's what I define terrorism as making them fearful so that they think twice before they go rape your mother or kill your brother or go onto your land and try to steal your resources.
It is that jihadist version of Islam which allows them to conclude the killing of American soldiers overseas is justified, that the attack of 9/11 was also justified, and that an attack on almost any American is justified.
Americans will always be a target and a legitimate target until America changes its nature in the international arena.
In separate and disturbing interviews, both look to one man as the true living model of Islam, Osama bin Laden.
I love Osama bin Laden. Wallahi, I love him like I can't begin to tell you, because I haven't seen that he's really done anything wrong from the Sharia. I love him like more than I love myself.